It's Game of the Year 2025, hands down, no notes, video end, nothing more to say. Okay, wait, there's a lot more to say actually. There's a lot more to say about this. This game is amazing. Please forgive the lack of edits in this video. After much thought, I decided it would be best to just show footage with cut-ins every so often so you get a chance to see what the game's about without much interruption, since this is an impressions video and the game is quite new. For this video, I will not be spoiling anything in detail about the game in terms of plot and story, and we'll be showing footage of just general running around some of the starting areas as well as some stuff from the trailers. Stuff that I have deemed not particularly spoilery. I have had my eye on Clair Obscur Expedition 33 since it was first revealed over the summer. Frankly, it takes a lot for non-first-party Nintendo games to really stand out to me because I feel like we've hit a point where a lot of presentations are oversaturated with things like Souls-likes or zombie horror games or space horror games or indie Metroidvanias and, you know, cozy farming sims. Expedition 33 is different from all of these, and immediately that kind of made it stand out. When I realized it was a turn-based RPG, my traditional Final Fantasy and bravely default-loving heart exploded. I love me some turn-based games. I am a huge fan of the genre. It just makes my neurons activate when I see those menus to flip through. So naturally, I wishlisted it and awaited the day it would come out. I later found out that the studio, Sandfall Interactive, was looking for streamers to stream the game on launch, and I threw my hat in the ring because why not? Thank you for the stream code, by the way. I have just played about 5.5 hours of this game as of the time of me recording this, and wow. Just wow. I am absolutely blown away by this game. It's not just like kind of good, it's like every little bit made me lose my mind. I'm gonna go through things bit by bit. I have things vaguely organized. I wrote this all in a bit of a frenzy after playing the game for the first time, just because I needed to talk about this game. It's really good. So let's just get this out of the way. Here are my quick impressions of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Please pardon my French, I am very rusty at it. From the trailers, I was drawn to Clair Obscur immediately due to its visuals. It has a sense of style and art direction that is very unique. It's stylized while leaning into realism, and it doesn't shy away from being a fantasy. It embraces it at every turn, in fact. Playing through this game, I am absolutely stunned because it's not just the parts you see in the trailer that are this fantastic looking, it's every environment, every square inch. There is even an overworld, a traditional RPG-style overworld that is just as mystical and in-depth as what you see in the trailers for just all the environments. I'm maybe 4 areas into the game, and I'm still stopping to just take in the sights and check every corner because there's always just something cool. I feel like Expedition 33 really stands out in terms of style compared to just about any other RPG I've ever seen, and I've been playing these for a while. It just has a unique feeling to it, even down to the lighting. It makes the world rightfully feel terrifying and yet full of magic and wonder. Each zone just has so much to look at, so much to take in. I could really gush about it for hours. One thing I really appreciate is how the uniqueness of the visuals really adds this level of passion. It feels like we don't just get zones to have zones. Each area is just individualistic and it has a lot of its own personality and charm. Each zone feels passionately crafted and it all just oozes with style. Even the UI oozes with style. It's all just really pleasing to look at, and it gives you that, again, sense of wonder. The entire soundtrack so far has been bangers only. There's a sort of traditional French style of music in certain areas, but then there may be a more fast-paced techno song that kind of blends in that French style. There are also lyrical opera pieces, and those kind of get woven in with these big orchestral moments. I feel like what the music does really well is it lifts the atmosphere. It lifts each moment and really lets those moments shine, which is what music should do in video games, let's be real. The music has just been really masterfully crafted in to heighten the highs and darken the sadder moments. And oh man, there are some sad moments in this game. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say this, the game has already made me cry. You can actually listen to the entire soundtrack already on YouTube if you'd like. I definitely foresee these tracks being added to my work playlist as they are phenomenal, frankly. They carry a sort of elegance and hope and melancholy that makes this game really shine even more. I'm gonna say something, it's gonna be so bold. I feel like the soundtrack is on par with Nier Automata. I know that's crazy. That's crazy. People praise that soundtrack, and rightfully so. It is also just bangers, but I do feel like this soundtrack is up there with it. Wait, why are my eyes changing colors? A lot of people will be turned off by this game due to it being turn-based. While it is absolutely a turn-based game, it doesn't feel turn-based like Pokemon, Persona, or Final Fantasy X. It doesn't have that laid-back menu flipping feeling. There's a lot of active time combat within these fights, such as aiming your gun and firing at enemies and jumping to avoid attacks, dodging, trying to hit QTEs, etc. There's just a lot happening. If you don't like the QTEs, there does appear to be a way to turn on like auto press for them in the settings. I don't mind the QTEs personally because it feels just so fast-paced that it's engaging, and it hasn't gotten dull for me yet, at least. Although you still have to go through your menus to pick out what kind of attack you want to use for your turn, and you know, there is a lot of customization when it comes to picking things on the skill tree, I feel like this game almost doesn't feel like a turn-based combat game at times. It's weird. It's like, sometimes it does feel turn-based, but sometimes there's just so much happening that it feels like active time combat constantly. There are a lot of mechanics to this game, and I'm definitely still learning them. A lot of them are throwbacks to previous turn-based RPGs, so if you've played titles like Final Fantasy, you'll probably be able to liken it to how some of those games operate. And that, I think, is what I love the most about Expedition 33. It feels like an evolution of the classic turn-based RPG that people my age grew up with. It's a modern take on an old genre that pays its respects to its predecessors while also daring to be its own unique thing. Again, some people are going to be really turned off by the idea that it's turn-based. I can't necessarily fault people for that because you like what you like and you don't like what you don't like. However, and I am kind of looking online to see the general sentiment from people who don't like turn-based games, the sentiment is still pretty, favorable. Even from people that don't really love games like Persona or Final Fantasy or Pokemon. People still seem to be having a good time with this one. But I think that's because the devs, put a lot of effort into making this combat feel just really fast, really responsive. If there is anything to knock the game for, it's that the parry dodge windows are extremely tight, and there is a pretty big learning curve. I do think it's difficult. I would say it's like Souls levels difficult. There are ways to mitigate it though, if you don't like the parry dodge mechanic. There is a mode that makes the parry dodge windows easier to hit, and if that is more your speed, then nothing is wrong with that. I think it's totally valid to turn that option on. I've been playing the game on the default setting, and it's been a challenge so far, but I think that challenge adds to the overall atmosphere of the game. Fights are supposed to be terrifying for story reasons, and having the parry dodge windows be so tight really adds to that feeling. Each fight, at first, kind of felt like a gamble, But over time, I started getting the hang of the timings, and I started just understanding how things worked better, and combat started feeling really smooth. I still do mess up the parry dodges a lot, but I'm learning, and I definitely think I've gotten better with a bit of practice. I do want to mention that the game is really forgiving and autosaves constantly, so you don't really have to worry about losing progress if you do wipe on an encounter. Now, I've heard some people say this is a Souls-like. I don't think this game is a Souls-like. I know some people have been saying it is a Souls-like. I don't agree that it's a Souls-like. It doesn't have a Souls currency system, and that to me is the defining feature of a Souls-like, but it is difficult. It has Souls-like levels of difficulty, but there's no like loss of currency. You just basically go back to your last autosave, and again, the game just autosaves constantly, so you don't really lose out on anything. Encounters can be mostly dodged anyways, because all of the enemies are in the overworld, so if you don't want to fight something, just don't run into it. It's kind of that easy, actually. The game does insist that you parry and dodge. It is built around that mechanic, at least in combat. I cry pretty easily over media, I'm not gonna lie. I try to act like a big tough Drago, but I'm a freaking Pisces, man. I cry over everything. It's rare, though, that I cry so easily at the start of a game. I can think of only one other game that has put me, like, in such an emotional chokehold within the first hour. And that is the masterpiece that is Ori and the Blind Forest. I cried. I cried over Expedition 33. Actual tears dripping down my face during stream, by the way. I streamed this game. During the opening hour, the way they set everything up is masterful. The writing was so effective and so well done that I was invested pretty much out of the gate. Expedition 33's story is not a happy one. I don't really want to spoil the premise if you are unfamiliar with it. I think it's best to go in not knowing that much, but the premise of the game is very dark. There is some disturbing imagery in this game, and there are themes of coping with grief and coping with trauma and working through trauma. The subject matter is very sad, but the writers are really good at balancing the hanging sense of dread with humor. And it's like humor that feels natural, banter that feels natural. It makes the characters pop a lot. They don't just feel like depressed set pieces in a depressing world. They feel like people. The characters are very two-dimensional. So far, every character has felt nuanced, and their dialogue has been incredibly well done. It's probably a bold statement to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways because I already said the Nier Automata thing. I think this game's writing is definitely among the best I've ever seen. Like, people claim that The Last of Us has some of the best writing in video games. Well, at least the first game. Honestly, The Last of Us can't hold a candle to even the first 5 hours of Expedition 33. I'm dead serious. The writers just do everything right, and I am incredibly invested. I need to know how everything plays out. I can't even play the game again until Thursday, which is like basically a week away from me, and I'm like low-key losing my mind. I want to play this game more. I need to know how this story ends. Also, the entire voice cast for this has been stellar, above and beyond, just really, really good. They all deserve awards. Their skill and talent has really taken the amazing writing, and it has uplifted it even more with just really good performances. You know, we have Jennifer English, who voiced Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate 3. You have Ben Starr, who is the Balatro guy, and Clive from Final Fantasy 16. You have Andy Serkis, who is, I mean, it's Andy Serkis. He's been in a lot. You got freaking Charlie Cox as like the main character. You got freaking Charlie Cox as the main character. Literally Daredevil. Literally Daredevil. And they all just bring their A games to this. It is like they cooked. They cooked with it. They absolutely cooked with it, guys. It's crazy. They all deserve awards. I know I already said that, but they all deserve awards. Every single one of them. Even the people I didn't list. Every single person absolutely deserves awards. Absolute cinema. Abso-freaking-lute cinema. This may come as a surprise to you, but I am a VTuber. And if you're not aware, VTubing programs such as VTube Studio can be really demanding on CPUs and GPUs. I am going to put the recommended system requirements on the screen, taken directly from Steam, for Expedition 33, and I will put my PC specs next to it. My rig is fine, but it's definitely a rig that I struggle to run some games on stream, such as Oblivion or Monster Hunter Wilds. I can run them fine when I'm not streaming, but the additional load from OBS and VTube Studio is a lot for my PC to handle. While I was unable to use my main model while playing Expedition 33, I was able to use Minimalia with only a bit of lag here and there. To the game's credit, my model is a very big file, my main model. It has a lot of toggles, it has a lot of layers, and the file size is pretty big. As you can see with this footage, the game looks pretty good. And here's the crazy part. The game in this footage is running at medium graphic quality. I'm not even joking. People were still coming into my stream and complimenting the graphics heavily, and were absolutely shocked when I told them I was not even running the graphics at the highest possible level. It was unreal. This game is optimized. It is optimized way better than a lot of games I have played that have recently come out. And that is crazy. That's crazy. This level of graphics with the game running in such a stable fashion is just incredible, especially when you consider that this game had like around 30 devs that worked on it. It's from an indie studio. Like, yes, the devs were ex-Ubisoft devs. They have a lot of experience under their belts as far as I'm aware, but it's like 33 people. But I think about these bigger games that, yes, they are really great games, but they were made by much larger teams with probably way bigger budgets. And sure, we can talk about how these games just may simply be bigger projects than Expedition 33, but I keep thinking about how incredible this game looks. And it just runs so much better than some of these other recent titles from big name studios. It's like, yeah, maybe this is a smaller game. They're saying it's like, what, a little bit over, it's like 30 to 40 hours, something like that for the main story. But it looks so good and it runs just very stably. And that's crazy. I ran into one glitch, and for launch day, I would say that's pretty impressive. I tried to go to a place I definitely was not supposed to go. It was in the name of Drip, I just gotta say. And my character got stuck on a cliff. This was easily resolved by reloading to a previous autosave. Again, the game autosaves constantly, so it was really not much of an inconvenience at all. It was kind of funny that it happened though. Now, I'm only 5.5 hours in, and I know the main story is apparently around 30 hours if you don't do a bunch of side stuff, so there's a lot of game left. I know that sometimes games have a tendency to put their best foot forward and then coast for the rest of the game's duration. I do not get that impression here with Expedition 33. I have a few friends that are ahead of me in this game, and they're telling me that the quality is just constant. It's constantly amazing, constantly exceeds expectations. I don't know if this will be a game that everyone will love, in particular if they're just very adamantly against any sort of turn-based games, or if they just don't like parry mechanics. I don't really love parry mechanics really myself. That's been why I've kind of dragged my feet playing Lies of P, and why I probably will never ever touch, Sekiro. Yet, still, I'm finding that the game is an exceptionally good time to be had. So it'll just kind of depend on your personal tolerance for it. I haven't really tried the easier setting for parries or dodges, but I think it's definitely worth looking into if you try the game out but find that the default setting is frustratingly difficult. While I did receive Expedition 33 from the devs, they gave me a stream key after all, I don't normally make videos like this gushing about every single stream key I've ever received, and I've received quite a bit actually. I would not be making this video if I did not believe the game deserved to be talked about. I pretty thoroughly recommend this game. If you like turn-based games, if you like fantasy games, if you like good stories, if you like challenging games, there's something really special here. It is on Game Pass at the moment, so that's a good way to check it out if you do have that. It's also on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and Steam. It's pretty accessible overall, I would think. I think this game is definitely a contender for Game of the Year. I know in the past I said that I would probably be voting for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I do greatly enjoy that game, but I gotta admit, I think Expedition 33 has taken the cake for me personally. I seriously cannot wrap my head around this. It was made by 30 devs. What the heck? That's crazy. I seriously cannot wrap my head around just how amazing this game is. Thank you for watching today's impressions video that ended up far longer than I had anticipated. I tried to keep it brief, but I just have so much to say about this game. I hope you consider checking it out if you're able to, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I have been. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more Nintendo and gaming content. I will see ya in the next video. No, really, the game is really good.